Welcome to MZ Learning Hub. This is Introduction to C Programming Language, Lesson 3. If you haven't seen Lesson 1 and Lesson 2, please go back and search for Lesson 1 and Lesson 2 in my channel before you watch this video. This lesson introduces input and output functions in C, which are the fundamentals of input and output operations in C programming language. So input and output in C is primarily involve interaction with external devices such as the keyboard, screen, and files, and this is achieved via a set of standard library functions found in the standard input and output header file, which is stdio.h. So printf and scanf are used for these two operations in C, and they are part of this header file include stdio.h. So this header file should be written before you start writing your program on top. The syntax for using printf and scanf as follows. If you have a string literal, which is all words, statements, and characters, should be placed between quotations inside the printf statements parentheses, such like this. String literal means just statements and characters, no variables or any arguments used in this printf statement. If you have variables declared with specific data type, then first in the printf statement, if you like to display those to screen, you have to use the format specifier, which would be %d or %s or %f or %i for integer. %d also is used for integer, followed by comma, followed by the arguments. So the number of percent specifier should be equal to the number of the arguments. Also in the scanf statement, you should have the format specifier placed between double quotations followed by comma, but in the scanf you have to use the ampersand character, the and character, before the variables to store these variables that entered in the memory locations that was reserved by the declarations according to the data type that you used. So the examples for using printf and scanf as follows. If you have a string literal, you can use it just like this, string between double quotation inside the parentheses of printf statement. Printf statement and scanf statement should be written in lowercase. If you have a variable to enter, this variable should be also according to the data type specified. You have to use this format specifier. So for integer we use %d. We can use %i as well. That should be placed between double quotations, and then followed by comma, followed by the ampersand character and the variable that you declared. For example, here this is a prompt to enter the age, so please enter your age. So what you see here is what you get on the screen, and then you will see the cursor blinking right after this statement, waiting for you to enter the age. And this is possible because you have the scanf to expecting an integer, and this integer will be placed by this percent by this ampersand age will be placed in the memory location, and this statement will grab and get that value from the memory location and display it on the screen. But you have also to use the format specifier here to convert this value stored in the memory to a value that will be printed on the screen using this statement. So for example, look at this statement here, or this program using a standard input output header file here on top before main. This is required because you are going to use printf and scanf inside your program. Then your program has three variables declared: integer, character, and floating point. The age is an integer, the gender is a character, which should be just one single character, and the pay rate as a floating point variable, which can have decimal places. These statements, these 6 statements, are 3 prompts and 3 input statements. The prompts are: please enter the age, followed by an input statement scanf %d, comma, ampersand age. because age is declared as an integer. So we use %d for that as a format specifier. But look at the ampersand here before or preceding the variable name. Also, the same applied for the other two variables. Here, enter the age, enter the gender, I mean, and then followed by scanf %c, because gender is declared as character, char. The last variable entered is the rate. So I have a prompt, please enter the rate, and then you have %f. %f for floating point variables as declared right here in this line number 10, and that will be used for the pay rate because it is declared as a floating point variable. But this is also same like other scanfs, preceded by an ampersand character. The output statement that will display the three variables entered are the follows. The age is %d. The /n in the beginning and the end here inside the quotation means a new line in the beginning and a new line after it displays the age as an integer, and then following that there is another line saying the gender is %c. So I use also %c inside printf statement to display the gender, and I use also %f, but I use here %.2f because I would like to display the pay rate in 2 decimal places instead of 6 default decimal places that if I use just %f. So the output will be like this. First, you'll see the first line enter the age, and you will see the cursor blinking for you, waiting for you to enter the value, and you enter 32 for example. Then another line comes up, enter the gender. For example, here I entered M, and then I got another prompt, enter the rate, and I wrote 15.67. Immediately after that, this is a new line, first separating the input from the output, and then I have the three output statements. The age is 32, the gender is M, and the pay rate is 15.67. So this is an example for using input and output operations in C.